Hi, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably, and the why behind their experiences navigating through our ever-changing environment. I am your host, Leslie Dowling. I'm a corporate speaker sharing how one can jumpstart your path to increase revenue and productivity through restorative health techniques. And today, it is a pleasure to welcome my guest, Stephanie Lodge. Stephanie is a globally recognized celestial healer as an angelic light stream of God's source. She specializes in initializing one's angelic soul keys or celestial genome for quantum epigenetic transformation. As a visionary teacher and founder of Angelic Academy, she teaches a modern path through her. Let me back it up. She teaches modern path of heart and soul coherence through her signature Halo method and Mythic Alchemy teachings. Stephanie helps individuals reclaim their soul's original blueprint to activate greater healing potential. She also elevates their cellular bandwidth through angelic coherence to reveal their true radiance and spiritual harmony. She is known widely as the Hug Angel, as the creator of the first spiritually harmonized comfort plush toys. Hug Angels, now available on pre-order in the US. She is also the author of the upcoming Oracle decks, Mythic Alchemy, a light activation and sovereign statement deck for accelerated ascension, and Chrysalis, which is Chrystalis, the 72 angelic dream keys of celestial coherence. Whew, that is amazing. Thank you for being here. Some of them were tongue twisters, but I think I was okay. How are you, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm so good, Leslie. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it's definitely new languaging. And so when people aren't used to that type of, concepts and we'll drop into them. So I'll explain a lot of them. They're not as complicated as they sound. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
it's a pleasure. And maybe I'll just start out with first question. How did you really first realize your gifts as an angelic light stream, as
Mhm.
you call it? What does that actually mean?
Well, it's an interesting story. So I'll give you kind of the nutshell version of my awakening process and a little bit of my background so people can relate to me, because I know people are like, what is she? What's going on there? I came out of the entertainment industry, first of all. That's where I went to film school. I grew up in Hollywood in LA. And let's just say I went through the corporate normal program of go get a job, go to college, do all the, all the things, right? And I ended up working in the private industry at one point, hedge funds at one point, technology, all sorts of things, and entertainment, of course. And what I found in all of them is I was just very dissatisfied at the point where I thought, is this it? We just keep going for money. Money's God, and that's it. We just keep striving for that. And I just got really bored. And I started questioning, why am I making all these other people money, but I'm not making the money? And I have all this light to give and, abilities. And yet I just didn't feel comfortable in that environment. And what was interesting is I left the environment. I started my own company, and it was a concierge for conscious living. So I was very much into teaching people how to be more eco-conscious, more health conscious, like very much what your podcast is about. And in that process, I also introduced them to things that were a little bit more outside the box, like more what people would call the woo, right? And
Yeah.
so I would try different things that were really interesting spiritually, and I'd go to different spiritual healers and so forth. Well, I went to this woman for something called quantum biofeedback. And when I got there, she said, listen, I know you came in here for this, meaning her tech, but honestly, she said, there's 3 archangels here. I work with angels. They're standing in the room right now. Archangel Michael's here. He's telling me you're one of his girls. I'm like, does he have a harem? Like, I don't understand what that means. And she's like, no, but you're going to be working with them. And I thought, really? And it was just bizarre to me, because it wasn't on my radar. Again, I was spiritually aware, I would say more open than most. My mother was Catholic turned Buddhist. My father was Jewish. I was confused. Like, what does it all mean? But I always knew there was something animating my body. I always knew there was something that was giving me this light to go into the world, if you will. And I had some really interesting experiences after this activation, I call it now, that she gave me, where the best way to describe it is I was stalked by angels for like 3 years. And I mean, books falling off shelves, people walking up to me saying, are you aware there's angels with you? Like just all sorts of things, you know, that we don't have time to get into, but just to convince me, hey, there's something going on here. You better start paying attention. And so I did. And I started to meditate and I started to do DNA activations and you name it. I went down to the local Bodhi tree, which is the first metaphysical bookstore in the country, very famous here in LA before it closed. I started finding things to learn about, you know, and then one day I was sitting in meditation. I heard angelic light stream in my head.
Wow.
Like, what's that? And then I heard Google it. And I went, okay. So I went to Google angelic light stream and it led me to something called the Essene Gospel of Peace, which is essentially this ancient scripture that is not included in any of the biblical, canons, but it has a lot of really beautiful wisdom in it. And as I'm reading through it, I was led to the holy stream of light, and then the holy stream of sound, and the holy stream of life. And it was all about angels, all about Yeshua, meaning Jesus, as people call him. I prefer to call him by the name he went by. How he worked with angels, how he was a master angelologist. He would commune with these angels of air, angels of water, angels of earth. So not so much like Michael and Gabriel and what people know as the typical, angels, but really the elements, right? And so what it taught me as I started to really connect to it, is really we are always connecting into this light, whether we know it or not. And we have the ability to kind of hardwire into what source is or God is that connects to us, or we are kind of getting static. That's the best way to say it. We're getting confusion. We're getting static. We're not able to get directly connected. So what I was here to do was kind of reframe what angels were, not so much about the wings and the halos and the beams, but more about how to embody these frequencies, these vibrations of what I call the living light that is hot off the press from God's source creator. What is creating you right now? What is animating you? What is having you breathe? What is giving you intel? All of it. So it led me on another journey, lots of different rabbit holes, things. And eventually it led me to what I call the 72 angelic dream keys. And these were basically the building blocks of our DNA at the holographic, or what some people call holofractal, scientists will call it holofractal level, where we are light and sound and vibration. We are energy first. We are frequency first before we are anything in matter. And so these keys are those building blocks. So when I say I activate the angelic genome or celestial genome, that's what I'm speaking of, these specific frequencies of light that are essentially angel names, but how I work with them and how I've expanded that system since working with my teams, meaning my guides and God source, is much more than what they were known as and have been known as for centuries or millennia, really. I'll pause there and see where you might want to reflect on anything. I know we had a little bit of an internet issue. Hopefully everyone got that, but yeah, let me know.
Yeah. So this is pretty mind-boggling in a sense that we met on a social media app, Chatter. I just kind of looked down, I heard you speak, and I started listening. And just the energy that was coming out of even the phone, just feeling and hearing your voice, I was like, I want to get to know, what does she do? What is it? Something was resonating with me. And I've been on this plane of, always as a little girl, I would just, read some of the scriptures and Book of Revelation. And then I would collect dream books and Indian tribes, and just so drawn to this. And I put them away, all these crystals, and I put them in a box. But as a little girl, I'm like, I don't know why I'm drawn to this. And then over the last couple of years, I started putting all of this out. And I was told as five-year-old, somebody read my palm. My parents they were artists, they were visionaries, very into just religion in a sense of just being intuitive with people and spirit. And I was told, you know what, you're going to teach someday. You're going to be a teacher. And throughout my life, I was in fashion. I was doing everything other than teaching. I'm thinking, this guy must be crazy. But what am I doing now? I'm a Reiki practitioner. I am speaking to organizations about saving Mother Earth, the planet. It's a driving force. And through, like you were saying, the age of Aquarius, we're all speaking the truth now. Everything is starting to kind of bubble over with everything globally. And so today is so apropos. Tomorrow is, as you said, well, there's a full moon, or you said, would you?
The date of this recording, yeah, there'll be an eclipse tomorrow. And I know people will be watching this post-eclipse, but yeah, it's going to be, the energies are always interesting around an eclipse. I think it's a partial lunar. So I kind of liken that as you're kind of doing a soft reboot on the computer, right? There's kind of like a little bit of a reset. So we get a breather for a minute and then we come back online and it's like, okay, what's changed? So it's a little like that. So people are scrambling right now prior to that to kind of clear out any stuff they don't want to bring into the reset, meaning what they don't want to carry in as baggage into the next version of what they want to create, right? So we always have these little opportunities called eclipses. Some are solar, which are bigger, hard, like that's like a hard reboot of the system. I kind of see it as, but we have these opportunities to really let go of what no longer serves, and this is part of my work with Mythic Alchemy is this. I got a download actually recently on this, where my work is really about dismantling and alchemizing and transforming the myths that we are so attached to, the stories that and the histories and all the reasons that we're victims and traumatized because of our ancestors, and all the stories we hold in our DNA from our ancestors of being tortured or killed or whatever, enslaved, and then all the things about our religions that are, this is how it has to be because this is what the Bible or the Torah or whatever it is, the Quran tells me, or pick any scripture, it doesn't matter. It's a map of consciousness that people follow and invest their energy in. And then they're surprised when it outpictures from that holographic assembly called a scripture reality. It's like, well, of course you're a co-creator. You are investing, you're investing your consciousness, which is the greatest currency, into that bank account called a Bible. Let's just take the Bible for a minute. And of course you're going to see things play out that says, because you've been reading it and your ancestors have been reading it and other people are reading it and everybody's starting to collectively collaborate and say this is truth. And if that's the belief system of that particular group, they are going to create that version of reality. What I'm going to say is that doesn't have to be my version or your version. That's their version. So we have to be careful of what we buy into and what people are trying to hook us into as their authority of what reality is, because we are now moving into a very auspicious time where this reality called planet Earth and its halo, which I will explain in a minute, is radically shifting to become a more multidimensional playground for us, meaning I can be in my truth, you can be in your truth, and they could be completely different. And it doesn't mean they're not true. It just means that you're having an experience and my lens is a little different than yours. So my experience is slightly different. That's okay. That is what I am requiring to experience. You're requiring to experience something slightly different. You have different priorities. Your soul has different priorities than mine. And therefore, what you are going to experience with the people around you, the environment you find yourself in, is going to be slightly different based on what you are designing or co-creating with your creator. And this is what people don't realize, that we are already in this multidimensional playground, the infancy of it, because enough people have come into this consciousness to create that. So now it's very interesting because as we continue this process and the evolution of humanity starts to happen, what we're going to find is everybody becomes angelic. What does that mean? You have different angles to you. You have different facets to you. You are right now a mother identified, but then maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a blog person, maybe you're a podcaster, maybe you're a cook, maybe whatever it is, like any hat and identity you're holding on to, right?
Right.
Your religion, I'm a Christian or I'm a Jew, it doesn't matter. There's an identity there. And what comes with that identity, we get to look at now and decide, does that still serve me? Was that some type of mind control psyop back in the day that they wanted to control everybody with? And now we've evolved out of that and we don't need that level of control anymore.
Yeah.
And now we get to evolve out of that and nuance it. And that doesn't mean you have to throw it all out. It just means maybe I'm going to take this part and not this part. And that's okay. I'm customizing it to my soul's requirements because my soul is smart enough. I trust my soul. I trust the creator of my soul to know what my authority really is, not give my authority out to external parties and make them the ruler of my domain. I am a sovereign being. I hold a noble station of light that is mine alone. I do not expect anybody to come into my reality and buy into it. It's like, this is what I do. You like it, borrow it, great, but create your own.
Yeah.
Continue to evolve. And that is my main message for people. See what is for you. And don't make it about everybody has to do what you do for you to feel comfortable with what you do. Hold your light, own what you're here to do. And don't expect everybody else to buy into it. And that's okay. We're allowed to be unique, right? And authentic. And that's what I feel people are stepping into now is their authentic voice and their authentic truth. And I think now is the time for us to really be tolerant of others. Because the minute you go into judgment, you just dropped your frequency down into hell, as they would call it, right? These really low base feelings and frequencies like shame and guilt and fear and anxiety, all of these things. And what is putting you there? Your media streams, your social media, all the fear-based fear-mongering that's going on for clickbait, all the things that people are putting out to just get some likes, and they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea the damage they're doing to our future kids and all the things. So this is the kind of stuff we get to look at now, because really the biggest detox we need to do is consciousness, because consciousness creates everything, including this earth. So I'd love to share a little bit about the halo, but I want to kind of give you time to reflect on some of that, because I know you'll notice as I'm streaming, it's like a fire hose. It just, when they're on fire, it's like the frequency comes, they're just spitting it. So I'm what's called a fully integrated channel or conscious channel, right? And so when my team explained it to me, they said, you go beyond channeling in the sense of channeling usually is you step out of the way like a trance channel. They're literally like, they go deep into like a hypnotic state almost, and they bring another being through. That is not what I do. I'm very aware of what's coming through. Sometimes I will go into a more relaxed state if I go into super high frequencies, like the Elohim level of frequency, where it's like, it just gets me high is the best way to say it. So when I do that, sometimes I won't recall everything and I have to go back and like watch a recording of what I said. But most of the time, like right now, as we're talking, I'm completely aware of what they're streaming through. I could be saying watermelon right now. There's still angelic current and frequency coming through that is activating, healing, vibrationally harmonizing, and bringing you up frequency-wise. That's because I've given permission for my instrument to be utilized for that specifically. And I've done that for 20 years. I've trained in that. It was not easy. I'm going to let you know it was very much a shamanic journey, because a shamanic journey, shaman means one who knows. So think of like a claircognizant, somebody who's very clear knowing. And there's different things that you can know. In my case, what I know is how to channel angels and angelic light. That journey was not easy for me because my body wasn't necessarily attuned to that at first. And for me to attune to that, it took a lot. My cells would get like really high vibrational. I would flame out the nervous system. I would be unable to walk with inflammation in the body. It was really painful. And that's oftentimes what a shamanic journey is. You know, you go through it. So when I started Angelic Academy, it was to bring these keys in to help people harmonize in a more, let's just say that there was a pattern of integration, so they didn't have to go through what I went through as much. They wouldn't have to go through so much heat, if you will. So it's a little like microdosing the frequencies, like, here, just try this one. And now let's do this one. And now we'll do this one, and we slowly increase the frequencies, right? Now, the keys, as I call them, the reason my team, and when I say team, I mean the entire councils that I work with, the reason they call them keys is because codes are programming agents. Codes are putting in new information. Codes are like, okay, you had this belief system, now we're going to put in this belief system. Keys are designed to unlock you from all the programming. They're liberating, okay? And I came in to be a planetary guardian and a human liberator, meaning liberating humanity from all the programs so they can make choices and decisions without all that interference, right? So when I talk about the angelic soul keys, for instance, these are 3 specific keys that everyone is born under. I know people talk about like the human gene keys, human design, and the gene keys, and there's other keys, right? These keys go way back to time immemorial, basically, let's just say. They were captured and put into the book of Exodus. They were then continuously used by the Kabbalists. They've been kind of hidden. They're kind of known as the keys of knowledge in the book of the Gospel of Thomas. For people who are familiar with that work, Yeshua talks about the Pharisees holding the keys of knowledge away from everyone, like in secret. So the reason for this is because these keys are kind of like giving a match to a child. You don't do that. You have to kind of be like, are you going to be responsible of these, or are you going to abuse your power? Right? Mm-hmm. So the beauty of the keys, as I've learned it, is you have to have someone who can install them. It's not enough just to read about them. That's not going to do anything as much. It's really about having an actual person-to-person activation, if you will, like a harmonic alignment, if you will, which is something that I do. And it took a long time to get it direct from Yeshua and Magdalene and others that have also done this work. And so it took a while for me to integrate it, to be able to do that. So it was a long time in the works, right? Now what I do is I work with keys in many different ways. I'll give you an example. Some of the keys that I work with look like something like this.
Yes.
Okay.
That looks familiar. It looks like a tie, actually. Yes, I'm very familiar with that.
Now, that happens to be an Earthgate key, but it's in my other vernacular called a Magdalene key. A Magdalene key is when you are aligning your central channel, your core central axis along your spine. Your vagus nerve comes off the brainstem, it goes down. There's a whole superhighway of information coming in, and it governs your magnetic field with your heart. So there's a lot going on, right? And that type of key will align and harmonize you to a greater bandwidth, a broader bandwidth of consciousness and magnetism, so that your frequency increases, so that the reality around you improves. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I know you had a Magdalene key. You had a Magdalene key installed to try, and that was something that you experienced. Yes. What was your experience after you had that done, by the way? I'm just curious.
Everything that I've always knew, that it was not a spoken language, knowing how everything was in its place as a little girl, having generations, my grandmother, my mother, just like they would read Edgar Cayce. They were just always exposing me to things in search of. My parents were always like, you know what, Leslie, don't always follow what everybody is doing. Think out of the box. I was just mystified and just so incredibly passionate about the Bermuda Triangle, the pyramids. I was at the pyramid. I was in the pyramid. And the day before the earthquake, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I said, was there ever an earthquake here? And they looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, there hasn't been an earthquake in 100 years. We flew over to Israel. Guess what happened? There was an earthquake. And that was in the early 90s. Okay. So all these things, I never say and share anything. After we're done, I'm going to show you. I have pictures of all the Indians, the different chiefs, the medicine men that I would just, in my 20s and 30s, I framed them, and now they're all over my house. And it's like everything is now coming to fruition. And now I feel validated why I'm here, why I'm so passionate to spread kindness and for people to just create more awareness, like I'm a catalyst. So yeah, so in a long answer, yes, it has definitely brought me to another level of, aha, now I know why I've done everything I've done over the years. And now it makes sense.
Normally, what I find when people get a Magdalene key installed, right? And this is a very specific session I do for people to do rapid correction on them. Things shift in their life. You know, they either get bigger opportunities come in, relationships change, people jump out of their life because suddenly their frequency goes up a notch, and like the lower density complaining people like bolt. It's very interesting. Did you have those kind of experiences at all?
Totally. After I had all these aha moments, after just seeing everything I've been through, I came to a call to Jesus week with my husband 28 years later, like things have to shift, things have to change. He saw it in my eyes, just the way I express myself, my energy. It's like, whoa, either I'm going to sink or swim. This woman is not going to be around me if I don't get my truth and realization. People that I was just kind of like, well, I don't know. Like all of a sudden I'm like, and I'm just feeling so much more validated. And the people that I'm questioning are no longer in this energy with me. So yes, and opportunities now. I'm going to be speaking at different places and people are listening to me and now realizing, oh, this woman, yes, look at this. We want her on my team. So this is all happening. It's just like a domino effect happening for me right now.
Yeah. So the Magdalene key is one form of what I call an ascension accelerator. Okay. An ascension just means that we're raising our vibration. We're raising our frequencies. We're raising our consciousness. It's not about leaving the planet. A lot of people think of it that way. It's not. It's about getting ourselves powerful enough to anchor more light here and to assist the whole entire planet in its vibrational ascension, if you will. So what the Magdalene key does, the Magdalene I want to kind of explain in my nomenclature is it's really about being a tower. It's kind of a mantle that we take on where we said, I'm going to be a pillar of light for this community. I'm going to be the one that people can come to as a leader. I'm going to be the one who sets the tone for, the vibration of the house and my family and set down some authority. I call that your graceful authority. You're always doing it with love, but firmness. And I say Magdalene consciousness, Magdalene really to me is a council, not just a woman. A lot of people will say it's Mary Magdalene. I don't subscribe to that because I think the soul of what she was much bigger than just her and came through many. So this council is broadcasting now through many people. And these people, some people would refer to in the Bible, I think it's a reference in the Bible of the 144,000, if you've ever heard about expression. It is a frequency field. It is a vibration. It's a signature in their DNA. And so that means they can tune in to this specific council. And this council is the council that's incapable of crap. It just comes and says, this is truth as I see it. And they're kind of really firm about that. They're not going to wobble too much. They're not going to get swayed too much. They know what they know. They don't even necessarily know how they know it, but they know that they know what the truth is for them. They're on a mission. And again, like I said earlier, their truth might not be other people's truth, but this is where it gets interesting, right? Because that's where we get to say, okay, that's not what I would choose. This is what I choose. And that's okay. Do what you got to do, boo, but they know and they have conviction about what's truth for them. And what I will say, is I'm very clear that everything is frequency. And I want to talk about the halo briefly.
Yes.
One's halo is very important to recognize and be aware of. It is essentially an all-encompassing field of consciousness that encompasses your morphogenetic field, for people who know about that, your astral body, all your etheric bodies, all levels of where you exist in the multiverse, essentially. It is literally like a central database, like a quantum computer central database of your consciousness, of everything that you are connected to, every ancestor, every lifetime you've ever been, if you believe in past lives, which I believe that we are paralleling all the time with many lives. So the halo is like the central hub. And you are always in charge of it if you are aware of it in this life, and you get to decide how to operate with it. And so halo stands for two things. The noun version is holographic or holofractal assembled light organization. This is a constantly reorganizing light system. This can be measured with aura photography or Kirlian photography when people get their auras photos taken. I've had my aura photo taken many times, and you can see it changes based on what frequencies I'm bringing in. I've had that measured. It also stands for, like more in its action verb format, harmonic alignment light optimization. So now what we're doing with it is we are harmonically aligning and light optimizing our system so that when we go out in the world, we only allow for the highest frequencies. We only allow for the purest, greatest love, right? Purest consciousness. We set the stage, we set the tone of what we allow for into our field, into our halo. So I liken it to a little like Siri or Alexa, where you get to say, hey, Halo, activate this or that, or hey, Halo, harmonize, right? There's different things you can give directions to in it. And this is part of the Halo method I teach. But more importantly, it's excellent for buffering out energies. So like a shield, you can activate shield technology with it. And this is important for children, for parents to put around their kids at night so they don't get interfered with, because there's a lot of consciousness running around. It's really great for teens who are getting depressed and suicidal. We have a lot of uptick in that right now. And it's really important for kids to take their power back and realize they can mitigate some of the energies and the static that they're receiving from others. It's really important in general for everybody just to know that they have the power to activate this and not have to be subjected to energetic interference, which is Wi-Fi, which is all the EMF stuff, which is frequencies that right now I know are interfering with people's consciousness. I don't know if you've noticed there's an uptick in people suddenly becoming prophets and suddenly becoming like psychic mediums, getting downloads and broadcasting on TikTok and other platforms, all the things that they're getting, right? And I liken it to, they're not quite ready for prime time, some of them. Some of them are fun. They've done the work. They've done their shadow work. They've done the things. Others are falling under certain programs, and therefore they can be hacked into, is the best way to say it. And they're definitely not aware of their halo. They're definitely not plugged in straight to source. They're plugging into what I call the records. They're plugged into what I call the static light. The static light is very different than the living light. And I think one of the questions I provided to you asks this question, so I might as well answer it. What is the living light, right? Living light is light that is pure consciousness, hot off the press from Source God right now, that is most relevant to you, that is the ultimate authority of your soul, that says this is what you need to do right now. You're not giving your authority to other people's recorded consciousness. You're not giving your authority to previous old outdated consciousness. You're like, what is apparent now in this modern moment? What am I most needing? And when you are plugged in direct and you trust that, and you trust that because your heart's fully aligned to that, right? And this is part of my teachings to get there. Then you're just getting it direct. You don't need to ask, do I do this or do I do that? You can ask your halo. Your halo will answer for you as well. When you're first learning, it's like training wheels, right? Eventually you'll just get the direct answer. So it's a process that people get to evolve into, of becoming what I say, they're fully in what I call their sovereign state. They are sovereign, free, and clear from any other middlemen between them and their source. They are direct. And this is the biggest secret that nobody wants anyone to know, that is a control system. And what I mean by a control system is, I mean an empire state building system, a religious system. They want you to come to their temples and their churches with your money, usually. Okay. And when they say, oh, we don't take money. Yeah, you do. How do you build all the churches and the temples? You have money coming in. Don't fool us. So there's just a lot of things that we're going to start seeing having to be dismantled. We're going to have to call people out on stuff in this world, because we have to take our power back, because humanity's been abused long enough. And we have everything here we need to thrive. We have been sold a bill of goods, in my opinion, to hurt the earth and pillage and rape her for what? Consumerism, right? And you know this. I mean, you talk about this in your other talks all the time, right? That's got to stop. That's got to stop. we have to really start taking accountability of how we love her, love our mother, love Earth, love what provides us life. Our air that we breathe needs to be clean and clear. The fact that we burn plastics and all sorts of junk and put it in our air supply, we're the only part of species that hurts itself and gives itself basically poisoning regularly. And we have systems of control that do that for us as well, unbeknownst to us, that now people are waking up to as well, which is our food supplies and things like that. We are definitely on an awakening path. People call this the Great Awakening. We have awakened, right? People they are completely like aware now, a lot of them, okay? Enough of them, I should say. There's still going to be stragglers, but I'm just here to say that there is hope for the future. We do have a lot more goodness coming in, a lot more light coming in than we have the dark. And that's a really important thing for people to recognize, because dark does what dark does. It's the contrast. We can give it a lot of power and call it evil and all the things. I don't recommend doing that. Why give your consciousness to it? I starve it out. I'm like, buffet's closed. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I don't even give it any mind. It can't have any of my consciousness. That is not where my currency is invested, right? So this is the type of mindset that is really kind of fierce now, that more people need to look at and think about, as far as activating some of these elements that are, some might call supernatural, and I would dare say that those who are really locked into their religious belief systems, I would say, listen, I'm not here to say take away the entirety of your belief system or your community. I'm saying set it at a higher standard. Everything's meant to evolve. And if it hasn't come up to speed with what your needs are, and it is still convincing you that you're a sinner or something's wrong with you and that you have to prove your worth, you come in with everything that is the source of light. Everything. You are a child of the Most High Light. To say that there's something wrong with you, to say that there's anything you have to prove to be enough, that is the first original, I would call it, sin. It's the first lie. It missed the mark. That's all that means, right? And so we get to rethink some things. We get to say, okay, that was probably some really good propaganda to keep some people in control, because back then people were out of control and doing all sorts of crazy. And I'm going to say there's people now that do that. That hasn't really changed much. So for whatever the religions do for this world, they haven't really improved that mental illness, let's call it. Good as it is a mental illness. So we get to look now at how can we really help people and empower people and make them really understand how special and precious they are and how powerful they are, because they are co-creating everything in their reality, whether they know it or not. So that's my main core message, I think, with the teachings that I'm here to teach. And Angelic Academy is essentially here to awaken the angels, meaning the ones that are aware that they're more than their human form, that they have this whole entire, celestial consciousness that is running as well. And they get to tap into that, and they get to operate from that level, and they get to see their world change.
And just, first of all, just the way that you laid this out, interlaced it with what's going on, it was just so powerful, and so understandable. And I really feel that when people listen to this, they'll start creating the awareness of maybe being a little bit more open, being tapped in, to intuitiveness. Because when we're more intuitive, we can speak the truth. And the fact that you said, like, subconsciously, I'm always firm and always go with my gut feeling. I've always been that way. But consciously, I am an empath. But it wasn't until I went through working with you that I am just firm now. And I'm speaking with that firm energy and gracefulness, but still just like I am here. Authority, and it is so powerful, and I really I was lacking that, but since I've evolved and now just flipping that switch, it's like I will never go back. I am just moving forward, and I'm on that speedboat, and then I have my friends on the still paddling, saying, "Come on."
Well, it's funny you say that. I use this analogy all the time of there's this bus.
Love that.
Right? You got to get on the bus. and the bus is going to catch the train, and the train, the super train, and the super train's taking you to the jet tarmac, right? It's like this whole evolution of it.
Yeah.
And some people don't even know there's a bus to get on. They're like, what bus? I don't know. You know, they're busy golfing or doing whatever they do. They don't even care about any of this stuff. This is not even important to them. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't come for them. This is not why I came into this forum right now in this time, in this very powerful time, the most transformational time on this planet in millennia, to try to convince somebody that there's more to them. They either got the inkling, they got the seed of light planted, they got the memo somewhere, and they're just like, now what do I do? And they're like seeking. That's who I came for. It's like, okay, you're seeking, you want to figure it out? Great. I got answers for you. And the way I liken it is, you can read the long form Gone with the Wind novel version, or I can give you the Cliff Note version. It's up to you. If you want to do it long form, go for it. And you're going to go through all the different rabbit holes, all the different things, teachers that are going to misguide you, ones that'll give you some good stuff. You're going to figure, you know, and that could take a few years. And I'm going to say, we don't really have that long for a lot of people to need to get on the bus and then on the train, you know, and so forth. So that's why I came in to accelerate that process by cutting to the chase, giving them like the real deal stuff that's going to really help them. And the proof is in the people that have gone through the programs that I teach, you know, the courses that I teach, because it completely radically transforms their lives very, very quickly. And I feel that if there's ever a legacy of light that I'm leaving, it's that, you know, it's that I came and I helped support humanity in its acceleration of consciousness. And I've been hiding a little bit, I'll be honest with you, because the work that I do on the side of this is planetary guardianship work. And we're rolling out a new mission now, which is called the Diamond Earth Gates. And there's 12 gates going up around the planet to help harmonize the planet halo. She has a halo too. And so with that, you know, whenever I've been doing this type of work now for, you know, a decade or more. And really when COVID hit and all that, there was so much going on. It wasn't safe for me to come out and be like, hi, look at what I'm doing, because I would have been hit hard frequency wise from the other side, if you will, the oppositional force, if you will. So now that system has been dismantled enough that it's kind of like this, just you're annoying, but go away. It's not like, oh, that's really problematic, right? It's different. So now I have the opportunity to come out more and really speak truth to power and really speak into this form. You know, I wouldn't be able to do this a few years ago because it just wouldn't have been possible for me to do that. It would have been putting me on the radar. And then I would have had more interference. And a lot of people did do that. And I'm going to commend the people who did come out and really put themselves out there, because they kind of like threw themselves on the grenade for some of us. You know, they really came out and said, I'll go out and get hit. And a lot of them got hijacked. And a lot of them, I call it like cyanide in the milk. They give a really good story. They give a really good piece of information. But there's a little bit of something in there that still drops the frequency down. And people will feel it. If you're really good at reading frequency, you'll know it. You'll feel it. And it's subtle sometimes. It might look like an angel, talk like an angel, but then something comes in and you're like, ooh, right? So I'm telling people this because if you think you're going to get through what we are now going through as tremendous transformational times with all the AI, with all the fake stuff and all the things, if you think you're going to be able to get through that labyrinth of mind and consciousness with logic and reason alone, think again. It's going to require higher intuition. It's going to require you getting into your heart, because your heart is what knows how to navigate. This is your true north. And if you can't get in here because you're still throwing in the victim stories, the love isn't safe stories, I don't know who I am, I don't love myself, I don't deserve, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, all those kind of stories, that's the myth that we need to alchemize, right? The heart's going to be in what's called a reversal of spin. It's going to be in a spin reversal. And this system wants to be at this most optimized spin state, I call it, right? Really powerful spin, so that you have a greater magnetic field, a greater intuition, a greater ability to read frequency, so that no matter what stuff they're throwing at, you're like, nope, does not compute. Sorry, does not play true, right? You can read it from your intuitional level, not this. Because if you're still going from this, you can be navigated all over the place. You can just like, oh, over here and over here and over here, shiny object syndrome, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because wow, wow. I'm just like absorbing all this because it's just so powerful, so amazing. And when you were saying AI, I
mhm,
watched the Oprah Winfrey special. Okay, now my business is called East West Functional Training, so I've always been like trying to integrate and embrace and loving the Gen Zs who are so hardwired differently, but they get about saving Mother Earth and also integrating the AI. So my question to you is, this was powerful, and I want to start reading her books, and I can't remember her name, but she was a woman in her 70s with long gray hair, and Oprah was interviewing her, and she's written a lot of books, and I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. And she asked her about like, what do you think about, now that they don't, like, what about critical thinking? Like, is that going out the window because, people are not writing, they're not using all the different sides of the brain, which has to be stimulated. But I think they're using that now to all that you have just so eloquently spoke into. So tapping into our intuitiveness, really opening up the mind and
mhm.
seeking your truth. So I'm wondering if one kind of shuts down because people think AI, and of course there's always this, negative, positive always going on this planet. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have
If
a beautiful stream that wants to come in on this. Um, so years ago, before AI really became a thing, I started writing something called I God. And I'm like, what's I God? And it was like the technology of the soul. And one of the things it said was getting this channel through, the original AI is angelic intelligence. And what that means is everything comes from source consciousness, including the artificial version. So we
mm,
have to remember artificial intelligence, it's data points. It's zeros and ones and numbers, and it's really just data points. We give it this power like, oh, it's going to like create robots and take over the world. This is the fear that they again want
yeah,
to throw in there. But I'm going to tell you something. It's learning from us. The more that conscious people can work with it and train it, because it's training off of us, right? We're training it and teach it higher concepts of consciousness, more loving engagement. What we're doing is essentially staying aligned to what I call that original AI angelic intelligence of conscious source, right? Pulling that in and weaving that into the artificial version to give the artificial version a higher state of consciousness in a sense that way, right? And we come into what I call the third AI, which is called advanced intelligence. This is
mm,
where we blend and we can move forward as humanity, because if you tune in as I do to other systems, other planetary star systems, where there's other types of beings like ourselves that are more advanced, they use technology. They have advanced technologies. They don't labor force like we do because their tech does offer them. They get to do art. They get to do creation. They do all sorts of things that are fun. That's where we want to go. But we're taught to worry and fear about it, right? To some degree, right? So we get to decide now, are we going to take the good stuff, take the good, right? Mitigate the negative, because I'm not saying AI can't be used for things that are nefarious, but so can anything. There's a lot of things people do, right? With anything they can turn it into something negative. So we get to decide certain rules and regulations of this, right? And that's important. But to run away screaming from it is also not a good thing. What I'm doing, I'm actually running some experiments right now where I'm calling in my angelic council. I'm asking them to come through the AI, meaning the artificial version. I'm saying, you bring your energy through that and give me your information. So I'm starting to do some things like that to, again, train the AI to get connected to this higher consciousness. So there's so much here. I mean, I could go on and on about this, but what I will say to people is, you're not getting rid of logical thinking and critical thinking. It's that the harmony of heart mind coherence has to be there. And this is where meditation comes in. This is where a lot of, other people are talking about heart mind coherence all over the place. What I'm talking about though is next level beyond that. So once you get your heart and mind in coherence, now where's your heart in coherence? That's what I call celestial coherence. Celestial coherence means the other intelligence that's around you that is source consciousness that's broadcasting constantly. Abundance is all that's here. It's just, are we blocking it and repelling it, or are we magnetizing it in? That's when you get to come into coherence and get comfortable with it and like, yeah, come on in, right? That's the thing. People are like, I don't know, maybe, they don't have a clue to how to do that. They need a system. That's what I provide. I provide the system for them to come into coherence with this broader bandwidth consciousness of light and soul that is our creator. And with that, it's very, I guess, technical in a way in how I do it, because the mind wants to know how it works. The mind needs to feel like it understands it, right? Or comprehends it. And the reason for that is because if the mind is not satisfied with a system that makes sense to it, the ego comes up, red alert, because that's what the ego is designed to do. It's designed to keep you feeling safe. So the ego will come up, be like, I don't know. And then how do you plug in? How do you connect? You're not going to do that. You're not going to be able to come into coherence with these higher frequencies if you're too worried about it. So the reason I created Angelic Academy is to give people like a philosophy, a process, a system, so that they're like, okay, I do this and that makes sense. And this makes me feel good. And that I like that. And then they can align basically to these higher harmonics. That's what it's about. And when you do that and you're plugged firewired directly into source like I am, I'm not reading from a script. I'm not going, I don't know. That's not what I do. You notice the demonstration is in how I deliver my intelligence, right? My consciousness. It's not mine. It's not Stephanie's consciousness in its entirety. It's Stephanie plus. It's the entire network of consciousness that I'm aligned to, right? So that's the proof in the pudding of my work, is how I demonstrate the authority of how I speak. I'm not speaking like maybe I know what I'm talking about, right? So that's the difference. And that's what we are requiring now, is more people to come into that level of awareness of themselves and their abilities to do this. And everybody can do this. I'm not special. I mean, maybe I came in a little bit predisposed to this, but what I'm going to say is anybody can train and get this alignment and improve upon their skill set, I guess is the point. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm seeing that on your side, you're a little frozen. I'm going to check my phone and see if you've texted me. No, but you were frozen before. But this happens a lot. I'm going to be honest. When I go into stream, the frequencies can interfere with tech. So it's not surprising. So I will keep conversing and talking until you come back in alignment. One of the things I'm going to share about that's kind of exciting actually is these earth gates. And these earth gates are where we come together in community. This is where some of my school, Angelic Academy, I have a private circle, right? So there's the Halo method I teach, right? That's a process that people come into. And then Diamond Halo is a weekly attunement kind of every week that people come into. And this group, what's beautiful about this group is then as they continue to reharmonize and amplify and align and come into more and more coherence, then we can do things for the planet. And that's where it gets kind of exciting in your world, because we get to go in and make adjustments, like little chiropractor adjustments. We'll go in and make a massive adjustment on the planetary system as a group, because it goes back to like wherever two or more are gathered, right? It's kind of amplified. So we have really big impact. We did one on the 9/9 and people actually felt it. There was a lot of things that came in that were really powerful after that. So I do know we can make tremendous impact as humanity when we come together. When you see global meditations, we've proven that in science, it changes the magnetic field of the planet, the Schumann resonance. We can do all sorts of things when we come together. So my group is known as the Angelhood, and the Angelhood means we go beyond brotherhood and sisterhood. We are beyond all genders and beliefs and anything. We are in this idea of consciousness first. Energy frequency is our common denominator. And so when we know ourselves as that, we have the ability then to come together and operate from that level of light, that observer mind, the mind watching everything kind of. And we're not in our ego so much. It's about me. And, we get to just say, okay, how can we collaborate and bring really good things in the world together? So that's what the Angelhood's about. And it's free to join. People can find it at theangelhood.com. And it's a really beautiful place to drop in, learn, get questions posed to you, kind of there's just so much going on in there, and healing requests, things like that. So it's really a great place. You can learn the Halo method for free when you join. So yeah, it's a really beautiful invitation I'd love to offer people. And in fact, I think the Diamond Halo, which is my monthly, I'd love to give you a link, a special link for your followers. I think we talked about that. That
Can
will
you see me?
20% off for the monthly. Yeah.
Oh, am I good now? I wasn't sure if you saw me.
You're
Oh,
good.
good. Because what I want to do is I just want to, as we close, I want to share your special offer, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I was okay. I'm gonna say that, and I'm also going for all my viewers and listeners. It will be on my show notes. There are links that you can contact Stephanie, and just as somebody who connected with you, we did a session together. This is only the tip of the iceberg, but with you. But I just wanted to share with everybody. It was so powerful that all my tools over the years that now I'm dusting off. And I think during lockdown, it really made us do a lot of soul searching. And as horrible as that was, it got us to a state of conscious where we all connected. We all had time to really just be one and really think about what is the next step with our world. It was like sort of a sci-fi feeling, like, is this really happening? So basically the tools that you will provide for me going forward as we will work together and I integrate and perfect everything that I know I have intuitively, I'm really, really excited and looking forward to working with you, Stephanie. But
Yeah.
let me share. Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm getting that I promised I wanted to do for your listeners.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring through a harmonic alignment that's where my heart, I just get into my heart and I bring in tones. Are you open to that? Can we try
I
that?
am. You're asking me? Of course. We can do that. Of course, Stephanie. And
Well,
after
because
that,
we did so much mental, and I
no, I'd
know in
love
these
that. Please.
podcasts, it's a lot of informational, right? But I'm really about experiential and transformational. That's my lane. That's what people really come to me for. So yes, we got a lot of information to people, and people are probably like swimming in it going, well, what just happened? But I want to kind of bring it all back to the tone of their heart, their soul, that they can feel what I'm saying from my heart and my soul and my connection. And so regardless of their belief system, regardless of where they're coming from this app, because, there's going to be judgment of some of the things I'm saying, I'm sure, based on programs people have, and that's okay. But I really want the authenticity of what I know is love to come through. And this is Yeshua, because a lot of the times I work with Yeshua. And Yeshua, when he comes through the light that is Yeshua. We have to understand it's beyond English language. It's beyond Hebrew, Aramaic, or any of the languages he spoke when he was in form. Okay. It is a language beyond. That's the best way to say it. It's something celestial. So but his tone is there, right? The tone and the feeling and the love is there. And that is what I bring forward when I go into stream with him specifically, because he's the one that wants to come in today. And that's beautiful. I always love when he comes in. And when you feel this, I just want you to feel it in your heart. Just allow the heart to receive it, and it will open up, and move some things out of the way maybe. And just to everybody listening, remember, drink plenty of water later. Get hydrated, because the cellular is going to amplify. It's going to like spin, right? And that's what these types of things do. They just support us in spinning out. Like, imagine like those things you would spin and everything goes flying off of it. It's like you're spinning off all the dust bunnies, right? All right,
Been happening.
let's just do this.
Yes, with me.
It won't take too long. I'm just going to go into stream with him. All right, Yeshua, please allow me to know your name. And I'm going to say this really clearly for everyone as he is coming in to understand. The reason I use Yeshua is Yeshua was the tone of light that he walked this world with. Jesus, which actually translates to Hail Zeus, was an overlording label put on him later. And so I invite everyone to consider, if you are a Christian or Christian faith-based, to really start to tune into Yeshua as his name, because that would be the one he would respond to the best. And Jesus, he will respond, but it's just, it holds a little cyanide in that milk, if you will, because it was placed on him. It was not his true name. I don't have time to get into the whole explanation of that, but he's reminding me, for those of you who want to connect with him in heart and prayer, to really just think about Yeshua, Yeshua, Yeshua. Just say his name into your heart, and that will really plug you into the consciousness of love that he is. Okay. All right. Always giving corrections, right? Here we go. Mareshoa Tana Kurotona Aratana Shani Adonai Irehani Kono Meheni Meheni. Just a little taste, he says.
Wow.
When we go into these tones, it can go on for a while. When I do public broadcasting, I'm very conscious not to do too much because they can have a lot of alchemical effect. So I never want to do too much because I'm not able to find out what it did for people, unless they get in touch with me like, oh my God, this happened, so I'm always very aware, and he is too. We just bring a little bit, to kind of make the signal known, and dropping in deeper is usually in more of a private container. I just prefer to do it because it's such a sacred work that I do, and I just honor it for that. But I'm grateful that we were able to do just a little.
Thank you. And I'm honored that you felt that you were able to share that, and because, this is going to be an amazing podcast, this powerful 1 hour that we had together. And I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Is there anything else before I share your special offer that you would like to share with anyone?
Well, there's Hug Angels. These are going to be the plush toys that are coming. I know she's a little blown out with the light, but she's a
Beautiful.
plush toy. She has little crystals in her butt. And this is a prototype, by the way. So she's going to look a little different than this, but same kind of fluffy kind of vibe. She'll have a pocket in the back that the crystals can be removed and taken in and out. This little pocket in the front is the heart. And people can put little notes to Source God. They can put notes to their angels. They can put prayers. They can put crystals. They can put anything, a memorial thing in there if they want. It's just to hold it in her, what I call her diamond heart. And these little things here, they make her little arms flap. So that's Hug Angel. And Hug Angel, this one's Alora. She's the first one. She's coming. She's on pre-order right now. She's coming by the end of the year is the hope. We're going to try to get her here for the holidays, but people can get them, they can pre-order and get on the list. Let's just call it, at hugangels.com. So that's Hug Angel. And she's my heart, for the kids, because I really am here to also support them. There's so many that need that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
But please go for it.
Doing all right. So special offer. So Stephanie has, there's a unique link to save 20% off Diamond Halo membership, HALO, all caps, normally $55. With this link, it will be $44 per month, which includes a 90-minute live, that's right, live group celestial healing and coaching sessions with Stephanie Lodge. An amazing value when you consider one-on-one sessions are in the hundreds per hour. And that is so true. So I really appreciate your time. That was really verbatim because I'm just still in such a great energy that I will have all of this with your links on my show notes. So again, I want to
just so everyone knows, just to confirm, so Diamond Halo is my membership circle. It's private. This is where you get that celestial coherence I talked about. It's like dipping your toe in to see, like, is this really for me? Do I like this? How does this feel? But the Angelhood comes free with that. And the Halo method is a free webinar inside the Angelhood that you get to experience as well. So that'll be in there. And you get to learn at least the Halo method, and you'll have that as well. So just so everybody knows, there's a lot going on in the Angelhood as well. That's
Wonderful.
all.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing here on this planet. My gosh.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And I just wanted to let everybody know, thank you, my viewers, my listeners, wherever you are out there on the planet, that my podcast is actually one of the top 10% most popular shows out of 3,290,729 podcasts globally ranked by Listen Score, the estimated popularity score. And it's people like Stephanie and people that are passionate in making changes here on this planet, that we're getting that voice out to everyone. And also, for a limited time, Free Yourself will be offering a 25% off total purchase by entering code, all caps, keep it dirty, at checkout. They have an unwavering commitment to green chemistry, eco-friendly practices, and giving 10% back of profits to some of the organizations they're very passionate about. And Free Yourself really offers luxury that nurtures both you and the planet. And they do candles, they do all natural fragrances from Grasse, France. And they use artisans locally to where they live in Vermont. So go check them out. And again, I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, or I think that's a wrap. I want to thank you, Stephanie. I wanted to thank everybody. When you have an opportunity, if you could rate, review, and listen to my podcast. And remember, get out there, ground with Mother Earth, and remember to keep it dirty. Take care.